northern border area, the crews of strike FPV drones from the 71st Jäger Brigade carry out dozens of launches a day, searching for Russians among the dense forests as small groups try to approach the forward positions of our defenders. The task of our pilots is to prevent the situation from escalating into close combat. The film crew of Oleksandr Motorny has returned from the drone operators' positions of the Jägers in the Sumy region. Your quote will appear on your screens during the report. This is a fundraiser specifically for the strike drone company of the 71st Jäger Brigade. It is very much needed by our soldiers.
Just a few seconds for decontamination, then in the darkness, another minute to unload supplies, water, drones with ammunition, and to rotate the crews. Every second spent on the surface is precious and unnecessary because enemy drones in the border area of Sumy region are now constantly watching over Ukrainian positions without interruption.
Around the clock. And our air defense worked quite effectively. And quite often.
At the same time, the Russian guided aerial bombs fly indiscriminately, exploding right on the very front line.
We have often had cases when a position was destroyed by a guided bomb, and it wasn't just one bomb. 4 guided bombs could hit a squad's position in a single day where only 3 or 4 soldiers are stationed.
The Russian infantry is being smoked out by the pilots and drone operators of Ukraine's 71st Brigade. Lately, the assault enthusiasm of the enemy has noticeably faded.
At the moment, we've driven them out, so their intensity has dropped a bit. Not just their intensity, I think their morale has dropped too. When we first arrived, they were running around here quite boldly, and it really seemed like they thought they could just walk around freely. But we drove out the main ones as we saw, and most likely they brought in a rotation on
stretchers.
Fresh ones who also ran around quite a bit, and now they simply don't feel like running anymore at all.
But the pilots of the Jäger Brigade say that the Kremlin's infantry is still no less persistent.
There's no sense that Russia is finished yet. I think we still need to keep hitting them for that feeling to appear. But we are destroying them relentlessly.
About 2 regiments of Russian assault troops, ever since the 71st entered the Sumy direction, thanks to the efforts of our soldiers, have ceased to be any kind of threat forever. But that hasn't made the work any less for Ukrainian pilots.
Sit down.
Time to get to work. Sit down. Assault groups, some groups on their positions, enemy shelters on their positions, all of that.
It is their job, or rather potential targets, says Solovey. He started the war in 2022 as an operator of an American anti-tank missile system, but for the past 1 year and a half, he has changed his specialty.
I meticulously assemble the drones, carefully arm them, and then prepare them for an immediate takeoff.
Every clear day they make from about 15 to nearly 25 launches.
The task was to detect the enemy with reconnaissance by Laroga. 2 enemies in the grove. We will try to destroy the larger ones.
It is precisely such small groups of Russians that are trying to advance forward.
They gather together, and then in small coordinated groups, they try to reach our defensive positions. Every day there's movement. Every day they go to new positions. They keep coming.
To conceal themselves in Sumy region, the occupiers use dense tree foliage and thick bushes with deep local ravines. Ukrainian pilots admit that finding enemy infantrymen in such conditions is very difficult. Basically, it's trees with green foliage and also green bushes. And it's hard to see, right? That's where the mushrooms grow, where I want them to.
Yuma, got it. There's video, so there are coordinates.
Why for
this mushroom?
Sit down.
Solovey, a former Javelin operator and now a navigator and crew member of strike drones in the 71st Jäger Brigade, says that the enemy is not using heavy armored vehicles here. And in the Sumy region, the enemy is not using them at all right now. Russian artillery mostly operates from across the border, and silencing it is the job of Ukrainian gunners. But Solovey insists that drones are now the #1 weapon on the front lines, especially in the dense forests of Ukraine's northern border region.
They are much more effective and possess a significantly wider range of practical applications. whether it's against equipment, enemy personnel, or fortifications. Plus, they can fly much farther and destroy much more. From
In the border area in Sumy region, Oleksandr Motorny, Oleksiy Osavchuk and Serhiy Shportailo. TSN 1+1.
Now to the situation at the front, Russian troops are advancing in the Sumy and Zaporizhzhia regions. Analysts from the monitoring project Deep State report on the occupiers' offensive near Novo-Mykolaiivka in the Sumy region, as well as near Novo-Ivanivka, Okhotniche, Malinivka, Vishneve and Poltavka in Zaporizhzhia. Meanwhile, the 141st Separate Mechanized Brigade is clearing Sosnivka, Koroshe, Novoselivka and Sikneve of occupiers in the Dnipropetrovsk region. This success was achieved in cooperation with the 225th Separate Assault Regiment. During the assault, our defenders eliminated 50 Russian occupiers and captured about 8. Analysts from Deep State report that the Russians are trying to retake the lost positions, but the defense forces are doing everything to prevent this. At the same time, the occupiers captured Malivka in the Dnipropetrovsk region, and the Pokrovska section of the front remains the most difficult. That is where the Russians are launching the most assaults at the moment. Across the entire front line, nearly 100 clashes have been recorded. These are the latest data from the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. 2 people who were traveling by car were attacked by Russians this morning in Kherson. 1 local woman was injured, and at dawn, 2 women were hurt because of the occupiers. 2 dead and 10 wounded in Donetsk region. In Vodyansky, the Russians killed 2 residents and wounded another. 5 people were injured in Druzhkivka and 1 each in Lvivka and Kramatorsk. 5 wounded in Dnipropetrovsk region, 2 civilians near Kryvyi Rih and 3 more in Nikopol district, including an 80-year-old woman. In Novosinovo Kharkiv region, a man was wounded, and in Borova, the enemy hit an ambulance. No people were injured. 3 people were wounded in Chernihiv region after an arrival. In Pryluki, locals are being asked not to open their windows due to heavy smoke. And in Nizhyn district, the air raid alert has lasted for more than 15 hours already, where drones struck railway infrastructure. There were no casualties at the energy facility and the polyclinic, but the situation with power supply in the region may worsen. More details about the enemy attack on Nizhyn. TSN was told about it by the city mayor, Oleksandr Kodola.
Starting from midnight, the shelling of Ukrzaliznytsia facilities began. 12 Shaheds attacked a freight train on the section between Nosivka and Nizhyn, as a result of which the tracks were significantly damaged. Currently, train traffic to the city of Nizhyn has been suspended since this morning. All trains from Kyiv stop only at Nosivka. The enemy also continues to strike at the energy sector. In the morning, there were attacks on an energy facility in our community. As a result, part of the city was left without electricity. At the moment, the security situation is quite difficult and the air raid alerts do not stop.